hallucinating drugs. These drugs are very, very famous in many countries and super famous in many other countries like Malaysia and all, because you get death penalty. The moment somebody gets stuck, it comes out hoo-ha. Oh, this man got stuck, young fellow, 19 years old, 20 years old, and this and that, all get stuck, and it's a big headlines, and the time when they got, it's mandatory punishment. These are the hallucinating drugs all over the world. They're getting stronger and stronger, and many young people are very much affected by this. First they go and try, and at the end of the day, they end up with so much of issues. Watch this whole thing. Okay? Drugs can damage many such cells in one's body. Yes. Many hallucinating drugs can damage many cells in the body, especially the brain cell. That's why you feel nice. You feel nice, you feel great, you feel like flying, you feel euphoria, whatever they call it, And you can do whatever you like because you are now no more the same person you were. The drugs go inside, it creates so much of problem, the neurotransmission and whatever thing, some will feel like rainbow coming, rain flowing, It's all the feeling they will get to the brain. Okay? Because the brain only has the sensors inside. So now the drugs will amplify it. So remember this, it will damage especially the brain cells. Many such hallucination drugs are illegal by law in many countries. Some of these drugs carry the death penalty. Not all countries, some. Especially in Southeast Asia. Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines. They are really in trouble, because they're trying to stop. They're trying very hard to stop, but somehow or other they all come again and again. And people don't seem like stopping this at all. Really bad, very bad. Okay? So then comes number 4. People become addicted to these drugs. No choice, they get addicted, they got nothing else to do. They just want to take, and if they don't have, they will steal, they will rob, they will do whatever they want. Yes, they will do whatever they want because they are all addicted. They cannot stay without it. They need it, The brain cell. These drugs damage the brain cell. These are neurotoxins. Toxin to the neuro, that means to the nephrons and not nephrons, sorry, to the nervous system. The toxic nervous system. They break down all the chemicals. The natural chemical does not something else come inside in between. So these are the things the drugs can have. That's why people love the drug. They feel like flying. They feel like they are top of the world, but they're not. They're slowly damaging that. They can feel that the same way. After a while, they will probably have to fight and get this whatever drug they want. They have to fight very hard and kill somebody, whatever it is, the big thing. So please be careful. These are all neurotoxins. Other ways of damaging your brain cells. Okay?
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to another video. Before we start, we'd like to thank you all for the support you've given us. Psych2Go's mission is to make psychology and mental health more accessible to everyone, and you helped us do that, so thank you. Now, back to the video. Did you know that certain daily habits can damage your brain? And we aren't just talking about affecting your mental well-being. These habits are actually closely linked to causing damage to your brain itself. This is important because damaged brain tissue can make you more susceptible to developing illnesses, such as dementia and Alzheimer's disease, which stem from cognitive decline. Therefore, becoming aware of some of these habits may help you reduce the risk of damaging your brain early on. So with that said, here are 9 harmful habits that can damage your brain. Before we begin, we would like to mention that this video is created for educational purposes only, and is not intended to substitute a medical or professional diagnosis. If you suspect you experience cognitive decline or any health conditions in general, we highly advise you seek help from a qualified health professional. Number 1. Staying in the dark too much. Do you often stare into absolute darkness, hoping that you'll fall asleep, but can't? Do you love staying in the dark even during daytime? Not getting enough natural light may make you depressed, and that can have a negative impact on your brain. Sunlight helps keep your brain working well. Without it, your brain doesn't know when or how to release the sweet, sweet melatonin. So, ironically, staying in the dark for too long will eventually leave you sleep-deprived. Number 2. Consuming too much negative news. Did you know that the media you consume every day can impact your emotions, thinking, and behavior? According to psychotherapist Annie Miller, it can be damaging to constantly read about the news because constant exposure to negative information can impact your brain. The overconsumption of negative news can trigger your fight or flight response, which can take a toll on your physical, emotional, and mental health. Number 3. Blasting headphones. Did you know that listening to music a little too loud could be bad for your brain? While using headphones to listen to music can be convenient and relaxing, blasting music to your ears for a long period of time can actually do more harm than good for your brain. Experts have agreed that loud music may lead to hearing loss, which could cause memory impairments down the line. Number 4. Social isolation. Do you always avoid social events or gatherings? The impact of social isolation can actually be pretty shocking. Other than the commonly known mental health effects of social isolation, such as depression, there are also potential negative effects on the brain itself. According to a 2012 study from The Ohio State University, chronic social stress, such as social isolation, causes stress responses in the brain that can make you more susceptible to strokes. Number 5. Too much screen time. Do you spend a lot of time on the internet or social media? Too much screen time can not only damage your mental health, but it can damage both gray and white matter in several key areas of the brain, such as the frontal lobe, where processing and higher order thinking occurs. While it would be almost impossible to go without technology or social media completely in today's day and age, it's important to be conscious of and moderate the amount of time you spend in front of a screen. Number 6. Consuming too much sugar. Are you the type to crave candy bars, cupcakes, or soda after a long day? This may be because craving sugar is one of your brain's ways of responding to stress. But it's important to be aware of just how much sugar you're consuming, because according to PharmaWeb, taking in too much sugar may lead to an imbalance of nutrients in the body, which could further extend to malnourishment in the brain. Number 7. Skipping breakfast. How often do you skip breakfast? Whether it's waking up in a frenzy or not feeling hungry early in the morning. Taking a pass on breakfast may sound appealing. However, according to PharmaWeb, it's another practice that can lead to malnourishment in your brain. Think about it. When you were asleep, your body went approximately 8 hours without food. So, in order to function at your best throughout the day, it's crucial to replenish all the energy and nutrition lost at night. Number 8. You're barely moving. How often do you exercise? Whether it's taking a swim in the pool or going for a quick jog in the morning, doing exercise can greatly improve your brain function. According to Brock Armstrong from the Scientific American, exercise helps oxygenate your brain and release growth-promoting hormones. So depriving yourself of these exercise-induced benefits could stunt brain development, and over time, negatively affect your overall well-being. And number 9, poor sleeping habits. Do you sleep enough or too much? The number of hours you sleep as well as the way you sleep can have an effect on your energy, mental health, as well as the impact of your brain function and memory. Being deprived of enough sleep can negatively impact your long-term memory and cause your brain to function in ways it's not used to. Similarly, according to PharmaWeb, sleeping with your covers over your head is also bad for your brain, as it disrupts the oxygen flow between your brain and body. Do you relate to any of these harmful habits? Recognizing these habits early on and working to change them can help you minimize your risk of damaging your brain tissue. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and share it with those who might benefit from it too. Don't forget.
Thank you. So remember, these are the things where we can damage our brain. Sleep, exercise is very important. The kind of food we eat, especially sugar, too much sugar, they go inside. Maybe they don't need it, just exciting you to take more of the carbohydrate. So then other forms of drugs that could damage the brain very badly is heroin, then morphine. It's all names. They come from the morphine group. Now opium, then we got cocaine, ecstasy, ice, LSD, marijuana, fentanyl, amphetamines, etc. Long, many things. Many drugs available. Sometimes each country has got its own drug. Marijuana is actually processed again cocaine. So all of these things come from one place. People process it and start doing a lot of things. Like the strongest legal drug is legal. These are all illegal, except for some of them used in the medical field for treating some very severe painkillers. Like if you got Fortis cancer, it was so painful, they give you morphine to inject yourself. Yes, they give you morphine. Or fire burns. You burn very badly, they'll put morphine. Sometimes so badly burned, they put it to the nose to go inside. So help you from the pain that you're going through. So like the opium and all is very common. So the strongest legal drug that's available everywhere in the world, made legalized. Everybody consumes, men, female, except for the Muslim religion. That's what we call as the alcohol. It is a real crazy alcohol thing. Everybody uses the alcohol all over the world, non-stop. Big factories, big thing, alcohol, advertisement. I'm not sure how many billion they spend on advertisement, so long. But you see, go to the theater, they say drinking is injurious, smoking injurious, but it's still sad. They say all of these things. The government mandatory law to put such things in the theater when they start, but still they allow it to happen. So when you do all of things, you allow it to happen, then something is wrong. You should not allow it at all. Like that. So it affects the cells of the brain that produces the required hormones by the body cell. So all of these drugs will go to the brain and affect the natural production of all of these cells and come in between and keep on giving the same information, and that's when you become hallucinating and you feel so nice, so great the whole day. Not enough, you take another one. So at one point in time you become an addict, without that you die. So like that, endomorphins, dopamine, oxytocin, noradrenaline, these are the ones that we have in our body, and many, many more that I can think of. This is what the body produces. So now what happens, this will go inside and this is the hormones of the pituitary gland. Another one. Growth stimulating hormones, DH, thyroid stimulating hormones, TSH, adrenocorticotropic hormones, ACTH, follicle stimulating hormones, luteinizing hormones, beta endorphins, prolactin, and all of these things. And today people forget about what the body is doing so hard to make all these hormones. We end up with a lot of things like this. We're trying to put all the injections inside. It's very sad. So look at what happens today. They put all these drugs and hold it down and put it inside, and you're not even sober, you lost yourself. And at one point you have no money anymore. No matter how much of money all gone, and you start stealing from your wife, stealing from your family, stealing from your children, stealing from your father and mother. And you steal and go out and steal because you're addicted. They can't even close you in a room. You're screaming and shouting, that bad. So then you feel hallucinating, you feel so great, so fantastic, You just want to feel this way for a short while. Then you wake up in maybe 2 hours time and you look for another craziness. Right. So like that. All this will go to the brain and affect the brain in so many different ways. Watch this video. Simple one. It's made by CNN.
Before we can explore your brain on opiates, we need to understand a few things.
What is opiate?
An opiate is a chemical derived from opium and is the key ingredient in heroin. Those narcotics in your medicine cabinet, codeine, oxycodone, hydrocodone, they're opiate-like, but they are man-made and more commonly referred to as opioids. So how do these chemicals affect the brain? One big way is by exerting powerful pain relief to the rest of the body. Chemicals flood the system and latch onto millions of opiate receptors peppered throughout the body. Think of opiates and the receptors like puzzle pieces. When they bind together, pain signals are dulled, or they go away altogether. If the brain already has opiate receptors, doesn't that mean it can naturally provide pain relief? That's right. Feel-good chemicals like endorphins are natural opiates that dull pain and also give you a rush. The problem with man-made opiates that mimic endorphins, take too many and they can overwhelm the system, give you too much of a rush. That can lead to dependence or abuse. Addiction becomes an even bigger problem because opiates also slow down breathing and heart rate. Mix them with other things that slow down your body, and everything could grind to a halt. In fact, every 19 minutes, someone dies of an accidental prescription drug overdose. Most of the time, it involves an opiate. It's now more common than dying in a car crash. If you want to avoid that fate, don't take more than you're prescribed. Don't use other people's prescriptions. Never mix opiates with alcohol. And maybe try other ways of alleviating your pain, like over-the-counter pain relievers and good old-fashioned exercise.
So when the opiates, all the steroids they take are all chemically synthesized, like what the opium comes. So they cannot go out and have a big opium farm and take. So it's better than chemically synthesize this and the same formula and give to people. These are the steroids. That's what they're talking about. So please be careful. Opiates, So remember this,
Fentanyl is not a new drug, but has seen such a dramatic increase in the past 3 years that it has become a crisis in North America. Simply touching it may cause you to overdose. So, what exactly does it do to your brain and body? Fentanyl is an opioid that can inhibit pain signals in multiple pathways along the brain and spinal cord. This is why it was initially prescribed for pain relief. It also causes your brain to make extra dopamine, creating sensations of intense euphoria and relaxation. Essentially, fentanyl hijacks your body's built-in system of endorphins by binding to your opioid receptors much in the same way your endorphins do, but at a significantly stronger level. This might sound fun, but activating these receptors can also suppress your brain's ability to detect CO2 levels in the body, potentially causing a person to stop breathing. On top of this, side effects include dizziness, chills, vomiting, fainting, difficulty urinating, and extreme constipation. In addition, fentanyl is much stronger than other opioids, 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times stronger than heroin. For many drugs to work, they need to pass the blood-brain barrier. This barrier allows small fat-soluble substances to pass and water-loving molecules to be inhibited. Both morphine and heroin are lipid-soluble, but they have polar, water-loving groups that make them pass the barrier much more slowly, whereas fentanyl is extremely nonpolar and fat-soluble, entering the brain within seconds. This means you only need tiny amounts to get high, and that's where, in part, the danger lies. A lethal dose of fentanyl can be around 2 milligrams, in a test tube that looks like 2 grains of salt. And since a high level of precision is needed to dose it effectively, it's very easy to overdose. In fact, there are some reported incidents of first responders ODing from simply touching fentanyl powder or inhaling its dust, though some toxicologists doubt the accuracy of these cases. If it can be administered in time, an injection of naloxone can be given to a person, which works to stop an overdose by blocking opioid receptors. But the science cannot keep up with the rate of new fentanyl analogs being produced, like carfentanil, which is 10,000 times more powerful than morphine and has been cited for its possible use in chemical warfare. Today, drug overdose deaths in America are rising faster than ever, with 65,000 deaths in 2016 compared to 59,000 in 2015, and opioid use is the crux of the problem. For context, this is higher than the peak gun deaths, peak HIV deaths, and peak car crash deaths. All evidence points towards the problem worsening by the end of 2017. The reason? Research points to widespread prescription of opioids for pain, which leads to addiction. There's also an ease of access for non-prescribers, causing millions of tablets to fall into the wrong hands. As the danger became more clear, doctors decreased prescriptions of opiates, but this didn't change the fact that thousands of people were addicted, causing them to seek out illegal markets. With an increase in demand, illicit drug markets turned to cheaper production solutions. Unlike heroin, which is synthesized from poppies, fentanyl is entirely synthetic and can be made anywhere for cheap. China has become a heavyweight in manufacturing fentanyl, and North American law is working to seize supply. However, the UN urges that solutions to the crisis will lie in persuading people not to use opiates, as blocking China's market may simply cause production to move to another nation. Several experts are calling for government support for safe consumption sites where people suffering addiction can be supervised, minimizing risk of overdose, and be supported with counseling and anti-withdrawal drugs that can help people stop using. But can some drugs be good for you? Check out our second video here, where we look through the surprising benefits of some illegal drugs and what new research is revealing. Check it out by clicking the screen or using the link in the description. And subscribe for more weekly science videos every Thursday.
Very interesting, eh? How they can synthesize all of these opiates very in the lab, and some of them can be much more powerful, 100 times more powerful than opium itself. So imagine, so this little bit is enough. So you don't have to go and smuggle this heroin from Burma, Thailand, and bring him over the board and go to the Silk Road and bring it all over the world. You just make it in the backyard, you know the chemicals, and you start putting them together and work. So imagine how simple it's become now. Science, chemistry has made it easy for everyone to follow and become what they want to become, rich in simple ways. So remember this, my friend, huh? Another one.
In the words of music legend Whitney Houston,
crack is whack.
But with all the extra attention lately, thanks to Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, what exactly is crack cocaine? Is it really as...
You know what? Watch the way she said it, huh? Watch the way she said it. She died of drug overdose. Whitney Houston, beautiful girl, beautiful singer, nice voice, but you see how you can end up and kill yourself. All the brain cells will go and you cannot wake up. See how these cells will go and disturb all your neurotoxins and how they messed it up. Watch. What she said.
In the words of music legend Whitney Houston,
Crack is whack.
but with all the extra attention lately, thanks to Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, what exactly is crack cocaine? Is it really as whack as it's portrayed to be? Crack is simply another form of cocaine which comes from the leaves of a coca plant. After mixing powdered cocaine with a weak base, such as baking soda, it changes composition and a solid is produced, often referred to as rocks. This solid has a much lower melting point than cocaine, allowing it to be smoked as opposed to snorted. In fact, it's called crack because of the sound it makes when heated. But why smoke it? Well, the lungs are an extremely quick and effective way of getting something into the bloodstream. Those with asthma, for example, use inhalers to quickly put a drug directly into their system. When smoke meets the large surface area in your lungs, it too slips right through the membrane and heads straight to your brain in as little as 8 seconds. This is much faster and more intense than the effects of snorted cocaine, which generally takes around 10 minutes to reach the brain. However, once in the brain, crack and cocaine are effectively identical. Initially, users feel energized, alert, and much more aware of their senses. In the brain, crack acts on the ventral tegmental area, releasing large amounts of dopamine, the chemical often associated with feelings of pleasure and euphoria. This dopamine travels between brain cells, called neurons, and binds to receptors that trigger the good feelings. Now, normally, this dopamine would be reabsorbed back into the neuron by a dopamine transporter. However, crack alters this process. It attaches to the transporter and blocks the reabsorption, allowing dopamine to build up and continually stimulate the receptors.
Wow.
As a result, you feel, well, really good for about 10 minutes. But soon after, the dopamine levels in the brain plummet, causing an extreme low and often feelings of depression, which is why many users typically smoke more, hoping to reach that high again. Unfortunately, these dopamine levels can take a long time to naturally replenish, contributing to physical and psychological dependence or addiction, as well as increased irritability, restlessness, and paranoia. In some cases, crack or cocaine abuse can lead to something called delusional parasitosis, the feeling that bugs or insects are crawling under the skin. This often leads to self-destructive behavior like scratching or biting in an effort to get rid of the imagined bugs. In the most serious cases, crack's impact on the heart can cause heart attacks, strokes, or even stop the heart altogether, leading to death. Simply put, on the extreme end of things, crack can get pretty whack. Thanks to Audible.com for giving you a free audiobook of your choice at audible.com/ASAP.
Crack is whack. See the girl, how she said it? Such a beautiful girl with a nice voice. You see how can all go into bad habits and bad friends and become so powerful. Everyone's smoking, you also want to smoke, and then you smoke and you die. It's very sad.
The hallucination-inducing drug ayahuasca has been used for centuries by tribes in South America during spiritual ceremonies. But as it becomes more mainstream for those seeking optic and auditory hallucinations, what exactly is it and how does it affect your body and brain? Ayahuasca is actually a combination of the leaves of one plant and the vines of another, neither of which have any hallucinogenic power on their own. But the leaves do contain DMT, which is structurally similar to your neurotransmitter serotonin and to the chemical found in magic mushrooms. The problem is your gut enzymes normally deactivate DMT before it's absorbed into your bloodstream, and this is where the vines come in. They inhibit your gut enzymes from working properly and allow DMT to travel within your blood and eventually cross the blood-brain barrier. The effects of the drink usually hit around half an hour after consumption, with hallucinations peaking after 1 hour and subsiding within 4 to 6 hours. But these hallucinations are reported to be different from drugs like LSD and shrooms in that most people are fully aware that they're visually hallucinating. In addition, instead of hearing voices, the sounds heard are usually exasperations of the noises already occurring around them. And unlike those who consume LSD or shrooms for a good trip, many who drink ayahuasca are seeking to reconcile with their thoughts and emotions, as well as past and present traumatic events. Afterwards, most feel more at ease with their thoughts and more accepting of their present situation. The default mode network is a distinct area of the brain that, if overactive, is associated with depression, anxiety, and social phobia. And fMRI brain scans show that ayahuasca causes a significant decrease in activity within the default mode network. This is usually linked with a meditative state and explains why some ayahuasca drinkers feel at peace with themselves and find a renewed sense of purpose after a trip. Additionally, DMT has been linked with proteins that promote the maintenance of long-term memory, neuroplasticity, and the regeneration of new neurons. It can bind to specific receptors found in mitochondria and endoplasmic reticula, and may even have the potential to kill certain cancerous cells. On top of this, alkaloids from the vine have been shown to induce apoptosis in mice melanoma cells and certain liver cancer cells in humans. This is not to say that ayahuasca is a replacement for radiation or chemotherapy, but it may hold future possibilities for cancer research. Interestingly, unlike other drugs such as alcohol or cocaine, ayahuasca does not seem to create a tolerance, so regular drinkers aren't required to drink more in order to achieve the same effect experienced the first time. After consumption, drinkers usually suffer violent retching, vomiting, and even diarrhea, as the brew is extremely acidic, making an upset stomach normal even in experienced drinkers. And there is a dark side of ayahuasca too. Fatalities have been linked to its ingestion, particularly among tourists, though the manner of death is often undetermined. The increase in popularity has also given rise to fake shamans unqualified to create the brew safely. Ultimately, the data is currently too sparse to seriously consider ayahuasca recreationally, and more clinical trials are required to conclude whether ayahuasca is safe. Special thanks to Audible for supporting this episode to give you a free 30-day trial at audible.com/ASAP.
Okay, one more. Today you can have a lot of videos so you can understand very easily. Rather than me finding out, you just watch the video. They are
Death by drug overdose has been on the rise in the US with a 2.2-fold increase from 2002 to 2015. But what is the most dangerous drug in the world? If we're simply talking about the most lethal substances, scientists use something called the median lethal dose, or LD50, which measures how much of a substance is required to kill half the members of a tested population. So something like coffee requires around 13 grams to kill a 70-kilogram person, while the venom of an inland taipan snake requires much less, with only 0.00175 grams. Using this method, the most deadly substance on Earth, botulinum toxin, or Botox, oral ingestion would require only 0.0000007 grams to kill a 70-kilogram person. However, most dangerous doesn't always mean most lethal. In the UK, a group of experts decided to look at how much harm the most common recreational drugs cause using 16 parameters, including types of physical, psychological, and social harm. For example, a drug may cause physical damage but not be lethal. It could cause you to become completely dependent. It can be more likely to cause loss of relationships or decreased mental functioning, and these are all forms of harm. Using these criteria, they concluded that the most dangerous drug to an individual is heroin. Heroin can be injected, snorted, or smoked, and enters the brain rapidly, particularly when injected into the bloodstream. Here it attaches to opioid receptors, creating a surge of pleasurable sensations. It's also highly addictive, with intense withdrawal symptoms that begin within hours of a hit, including insomnia, cold flashes, muscle and bone pain, nausea, and vomiting. Receptors in the brainstem are also affected, impacting important physiological processes such as breathing and blood pressure, which is why overdosing causes breathing to slow or stop entirely, leading to the accumulation of CO2 in the blood and ultimately death. And since heroin is unregulated, it is especially difficult for users to know the strength of the dose, making the risk of ODing high. Additionally, the drug can be mixed with other compounds like fentanyl, making it even more dangerous. Fentanyl, like heroin, is an opiate but is 50 to 100 times as strong because it is very lipophilic, meaning it penetrates our fatty brain more easily. And in terms of lethality alone, it's much more dangerous than heroin to users. It was initially used as a prescription pain reliever, but because of its addictiveness, it was mostly used in end-of-life cases. It has since emerged as a recreational drug where the number of reported fentanyl-related overdoses has increased 7 times from 2012 to 2014 in the US and continues to see more widespread use worldwide. But there is an even more dangerous drug. Though crack cocaine and methamphetamine top the list of harm to an individual just after heroin, finding the most dangerous drug overall involves studying 20 different popular drugs and also looking at the harm they place on others. This includes the physical and psychological harm, crime, degradation to families and communities, and economic costs. And in the end, it turns out the most dangerous drug in the world is alcohol. To ensure this wasn't simply a UK phenomenon, a European group attempted the same process, putting more emphasis on individual harm and less on economic harm, and even with the different weightings, the two groups found largely the same result. A large contributor to the danger of alcohol is its wide use. The majority of the world does drink, and drink a lot, with an average of 17 liters of pure alcohol consumed per person per year. The World Health Organization found 3.3 million deaths worldwide were caused by dangerous alcohol consumption in 2012, meaning alcohol kills one person every 10 seconds. But experts don't recommend a prohibition stance on alcohol. By all accounts, the war on drugs has been deemed a failure, and nations who have stepped away from hardline policies and implemented decriminalization, harm reduction, and education have seen significant declines of drug abuse. If you'd like to learn more about the failure of the war on drugs, check out In a Nutshell's video, who so brilliantly helped us animate this video. A huge thanks to them for helping out and continuing to inspire us with their intelligent and well-designed videos. You can also check out our drug series if you'd like to learn more about the impact of specific drugs like marijuana, cocaine, and LSD.
Okay, thank you very much. Really, these guys have done so much work. They're just trying to teach people how to come out of all of these things, and it's an awareness. They're doing it free. Just like Prana healing. We're going around and helping people remove all the dark energy and causing this, And the best part, as they come towards the end of the class, you realize that none of them talk about dark energy, and none of them talk about, of course, they put a picture of a man like a skull, dark energy, but they don't say it is a cause, okay? All these drugs, what discussed, can damage cells and cause issues with the complete body function. Total body function can go away. Your liver, your brain cells, your brain cell is gone, everything will just follow. Your skin, everything. Look at this girl. Peak heroin use. 3 years before that, how she could change from there to here. See how beautiful she is and how she became like that. All because of some kind of a drug that she got addicted to. Only 3 years. Isn't it very sad? How did they got in trouble with this? You see some people coming in them, some pushers come and selling them and making them addicts so they can keep on using this. Look at this guy, young fellow. Look at how he has become. Look at his face of the skin, all gone. The brain is gone, they cannot cell system, and what digestion will not happen. You end up having a lot of acidic things, and a lot of things will go wrong. You don't get the right nutrients because half the time you're sleeping with drug overdose or drug sleeping 6 hours and you don't eat food. And look at this girl. It's even worse. See how she is and how she has become like that. So remember this, my friend. All these things will affect your brain cell. When the brain cells are affected, your organ don't get a signal. And then the organ don't get a signal, they don't work. And then they won't work, the cells don't work. The cells don't get a proper thing. It doesn't tell you to breathe. It doesn't tell you to throw things away. Kidneys don't work. Everything will go wrong because the neurotoxins are blocking the signal from coming to each and every part of the body to get well. So we are really sharing this with the whole world through our PVH. Very nice. Some people out there really help people. Thank you very much.